Yo, yo, yo. What it do, y'all? It's been a minute. We have taken our foot slightly off the gas here at Phantom Frequency for a minute last week, y'all. We're all busy living our lives and doing the thing and prepping all this dope-ass content we're about to be getting into for the remainder of February, getting into March, and the rest of this year, man. We got our foot strictly on the gas pedal, going at full speed, no stops at all. And it's starting right here with the main trio covering this thing, man. It's your boy Kenny, joined by my main man Skips and Miguelito. We are here doing it once again. That's right. I'm talking about the dopest show on TV right now. That's right. I said it. Move over 1923. I'm talking about The Last of Us, episode 7, y'all. This show is phenomenal. We have been digging the hell out of this thing all the way through. It has been a hell of a ride getting into this one. And this episode, we got a lot of big stuff going down here. In a certain sense, more introspectively for our co-lead of the show, Bella Ramsey's character, Ellie, of course. We're getting into the whole backstory of how she got bit and where she comes from a little bit and where her upbringing started from a little bit and all that good stuff. And it all is titled, the episode's titled Left Behind, of course, and it actually gets the title from the DLC portion of the game in the original Last of Us game that you can play that goes into Ellie's backstory and everything and how she met up with Riley, Storm Reed's character. Really cool getting to see that actress in here from Euphoria, Wrinkle in Time, things like that. So really cool to see her step in here in Last of Us and play one of the most integral characters to some of the earlier stuff in the timeline of the series.
I honestly didn't even realize she's a little sister from Euphoria.
Yep.
Holy
Because I just saw the first episode the other day because I was
really?
checking out some of it to see if
Yeah.
I was interested in the show. And I was like, oh, damn, it's freaking Storm Reed. I'd heard of her
That's
before.
crazy.
And I was like, oh, yeah, that's the girl from Euphoria. But yeah,
No wonder she looks so freaking
full
familiar.
circle, man. Full freaking circle. But yeah,
cool.
so she's coming up in here doing the thing. And I am currently playing through the game right now. My main man Skips has played the game. Miguel has not played any of the game yet.
Nope.
So we got 3 different perspectives here coming at y'all for this latest and greatest episode. Click all the buttons below the video. You know it helps the channel out immensely, and all of you lovely people have been doing so much so. We're just under 240 subscribers at the time of this recording. Much love and appreciation to each and every one of you watchers out there. The channel's been growing so much.
Thank you.
All the engagement, everything. We really appreciate it, y'all. We're having a good time doing this thing. So we're going to keep it going, and we want to make sure we hear from you down below. Drop those thoughts in the comments. Hit us up on all the social medias at fandom_frequency, IG at fan_frequency on Twitter. You know, Elon Musk made it weird, but we still want to talk to you over there. So, you know, just be careful you don't get censored and whatnot. But anyways, time for us to get into our overall thoughts on the episode. I will leave it with either one of you guys to kick it off. What did you think about this latest 7th episode of the series?
I personally enjoyed it. I played the DLC, but like that was like a while back,
Like
and
way back when it dropped?
yeah, like it was like yeah, it was way back.
Damn,
then.
it was like
And
8-9 years ago.
yeah, so that's why it is like having this show, like, you know, having this episode being on part of the series, it's kind of cool to see like what they did. There's obviously some key elements that you get to see pretty much throughout this episode. That's also in comparison with some games as well, some dialogue, of course. But as an overall, for my little review, I kind of did enjoy it. I really did enjoy seeing Ellie's background and what she was doing before she met with Marlene and everybody too. You know,
Yeah,
so
the Fireflies and all that good jazz.
Oh yeah, and how she got mixed up with the Fireflies as well. So I thought it was pretty cool, and I like to see her little relationships with Riley and everything like that. How they were able to like go bounce off well with each other with their jokes, and how they're able to really connect and have that whole chemistry there. So I thought it was a pretty neat episode to kind of see that in the light. You kind of see like a lot of Ellie kind of reacting to pre-virus days, like how they had like the mall and like all the lights light up, and she got super excited with all that. I thought that was a nice little
It's a
touch.
freaking escalator, man. Look at it.
Yeah, she got excited off of that. I was like, all right, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people these days, they take that for granted because they just like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to stand there and just go all the way down or go all the way up. But Allie was all happy about that. She was like, I could go down, I could go up, I could go up and down, I could go up and down, and going back and forth.
I'm
I thought it
moving nowhere.
yeah, you really get to see like that little innocence, that kid innocence within Ellie's side. You know, her is still enjoying seeing like how things were before and things like that. So I thought it was a pretty neat episode to cap off.
I also agree with Skippy. I liked it. I enjoyed it very much. I always like more backstories for awesome characters, and Ellie being an awesome character. That was a good setup. It just had me wanting more because obviously the episode ends with them getting bitten.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you see who survives and stuff, but it doesn't. I wanted to see how she meets up with, like, what was that other Firefly, Marlene?
Marlene.
Yeah, like I wanted to see like them meeting up with her and making a decision, like all right, who are we gonna, take out right now, because both of you are infected pretty much, and
Right.
I'm pretty sure at the time you didn't know that Ellie was immune to the virus.
At that time frame.
Yeah, so I wanted to see how everything was found out.
I felt that. I feel like the thing, if I could remember, the DLC is kind of like that too. They kind of like cut back because like it's during the time frame of what this upcoming week's episode is going to be about, with Ellie and her challenges going to be coming up within this next episode. It's pretty much in between that time frame with that DLC. So they kind of like, when they make that cutaway from like the past, like the past with how Ellie became to who she is, kind of to present day with her trying to help out Joel. It's kind of like that. And then a lot of it, from what I could remember, is kind of more of, it's up to the viewer of what they interpret with like how she got to that point. Because what I always thought, it was like, okay, so the Fireflies, from my point of view, like with the show, we'll go with the show from my point of view, like Marlene or one of her Firefly groups comes over there, tries to meet up with Riley, but she sees Riley turn into infected, and they found Ellie, and she's also bit, but she's not infected yet. She's still alive. And I would have figured, like, okay, maybe it kind of gets us like, okay, so that kind of makes sense of why they tied her up back in episode 1, in the very first beginning of why they were kind of hesitant of letting her go, because they probably maybe they're like not too far away from each other, but in the show they kind of seems like it, that she got bit, and then that's why they were keep on doing all that tests back in episode 1 to see how long is this going to take for her to be, turn into that infected person. So I think that's what it kind of is. It's kind of up to the viewer's interpretation of how Ellie got to that point. They only give you like little elements of like, she got bit. Actually, her and Riley got bit, and there's a gun there, and she's partway. She got into the group of Fireflies. It's up to the viewer of like, to
fill in those blanks and kind of see what's going on, reading between the lines. Because I was kind of having similar thoughts to you in that regard as well. But I believe, like, kind of in retrospect, kind of after watching the episode last night and thinking about it a little bit, I think that essentially, because also too, I remember, because I rewatched the first 2 episodes before this one dropped, because I was just I was actually just gonna try to rewatch the whole series beforehand, but just didn't get enough time, just because I wanted to kind of go through some of the details for the review purposes and whatnot. And one thing I did pick out when I watched the first 2 was when Ellie was talking to Tess. She was actually mentioning, oh yeah, so how long did it take for you to realize, like, how'd you get bit? And she was like, oh yeah, I got bit, and had to, it's not the first time I killed anyone like that as well. And I kind of put those 2 instances together, where now we kind of realize who the person was that was with her. She wasn't alone. She didn't encounter an infected in the same way. She was a person she was with someone that she really did care about that became infected, tried to attack her. She probably ended up having to kill her with Riley's gun. And then she ended up getting found by the Fireflies probably not too soon after that, because Ellie might have actually ended up staying there because she didn't want to go back to Fedra. But at the same time, the Fireflies had planted Storm Reed's character Riley to be there and had gave her that mission, so they know she's there, and if she hadn't came back, they're going to want to know why. So eventually they would have came there, found her. What the hell, you're bit, she's dead, you're not sick, what's going on here? Yeah. And then that's when everything kind of spitballed for the next couple years into maybe where we are, where season 1 picked up in 2023. So I think that's kind of some of the gaps, at least I was kind of filling in my head. Right. At least for the way the series is presenting it. The game is a little bit different with some of these details. So it is a little bit different, but similar in the same way. They don't necessarily spell everything out and show you everything and anything like that. You just get an idea of where it's at, and it's kind of open to interpretation as they say.
Yeah, I for sure like that perspective for sure of Ellie taking down Riley.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would have to be
Tragic.
Tragic, exactly.
Yeah, that was a huge thing because that was like what Ellie's first crush and all that too.
Yep.
She finally got that first kiss, and what they both got bit because
Within like 5 minutes of that shit, bro. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that sucks. Imagine that getting your first kiss and then you had to kill the person you just freaking kissed for the first time. That's a bummer. That's a bummer, dude. But no, it's
Hardcore.
like I think it's like overall. I really did enjoy it. I think even seeing some of the Fedra side of how like different Fedra strongholds or Fedra like I guess government or settlement run pretty much
Different
kinda shows
quarantine zones.
different quarantine zones are pretty much like how they run things, like because they sit back. What was the one with what's her face from the previous episode with Sam and
Oh, they were in the Atlanta city.
in Atlanta City.
Yeah.
Like how different it is from that area, dude. Like it's like from them, they're like really doing all like the worst case scenarios, right? All like, you know, killing people, kind of just like raping people. I think if I could remember, kind of killing innocents because they're like the resistance was kind of building there. And there is now where Ellie kind of came from, and they're kind of more Chicago, more structured. They're kind of have like their own thing going on. They got training and all that other stuff, and it's kind of well established. So you kind of see two different worlds, even within the Fedra's behind the scenes within each quarantine zone of how vastly different they are. Like I kind of like that little detail too.
Exactly. Feels like a fully lived-in world. One of the big things that I always praised different shows and different movies and TV series and animes for, you know, like One Piece, Star Wars, different things like that, the MCU, how they've been able to really build a world and make it feel lived in and feel like that other things really do interact with other parts of the world and the vast contrasts and differences in between them in the same systems and how it could be different depending on if you're in the Outer Rim in Star Wars or if you're right there where the New Republic is. Where Mandalorian, you know, when he's out in the Outer Rim, he can get away with a lot more shit than when he's right there close to the New Republic. So I like how this is able to build out the world in the same way, and even more so than the game. And getting into Last of Us Part 2, the game, it actually expands the world a lot more. I think the game's even more expansive in overall gameplay and the overall levels themselves. So it's pretty cool to see the way that the show is actually kind of taking a step ahead from the first game and actually really building out the world and expanding it more, similar to how Part 2 did in the game, but they're doing it earlier here in season 1, man. But yeah, man, any other general thoughts or anything you wanted to get into, man?
Yeah, I thought it was a heartwarming type of episode for me.
For sure.
It was. They were mostly having fun, you know. Obviously, Ellie missing Riley very much. She gets bullied, but she stands up for herself. That was cool.
Oh yeah.
I like when they're in the mall and they go into the arcade, Mortal Kombat. I'm a big Mortal Kombat
Hell
fan.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
That
I
was
already knew.
I was like, fuck, yes.
That was super cool. Because I remember,
Yes.
like, maybe 3 or 2 episodes ago, she finds that
broke down one.
that broken down one, and she's like, I love it, you know. And I'm pretty sure, without us knowing,
good call.
without us knowing, it was a
Foreshadowing that.
tugging her heartstrings, Ellie's heartstrings, because she saw the game, you know, and she already played it with Riley the night that Riley maybe died.
Yeah,
so that was pretty cool. I like all the callbacks too. Like I said, the arcade game and the book, the pun book.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Now you know where she got that book from. That was a good one. I like this episode a lot.
Yeah, me too, man.
I'm pretty sure I'm saying that about every single episode. So
But
obviously,
it's kind of
That's
hard.
a good.
'cause this
That's a good
episode-
thing to repeat, man, because it's not
Yeah.
like our Book of Boba Fett conversation.
Oh,
It's not
God.
like our She-Hulk conversations.
Oh,
You know, it's
God.
not like things like that. You know, and sometimes it's that's just the way it is, man. Because I'm on the same page. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode as well. And really loved the expansion of Ellie's backstory and getting to meet the character of Riley, who was so fully realized by not just the writing, but also the actress of Storm Reed, man. She's becoming such a great talent already at such a young age, man. It's cool getting to see all these young actors, including Bella Ramsey as Ellie, just really kill it and being able to step toe and toe with each other in that regard and just getting able to get a feel for how kids are in this time and what it's like being a kid in that time when you get to see the Fedra camp in the beginning and really what these kids are going through and how they're getting indoctrinated into this system, into this coalition, into this militia that is Fedra, you know. And like Skippy brought up earlier with the other guys over there in Atlantic City and even some of the things going on in Pittsburgh and whatnot that were going down before the Hunters took over full swing over there in episode 4, you know. It's really crazy to see how things are really going down, and it's kind of sad how kids can't even really be kids in this time, you know.
No.
2003 on, because it's just, you got too much responsibility and danger that's out there looming right around the corner. And the second I seen that goddamn infected wake up from his nap, I was like, go to sleep, motherfucker. Don't you dare ruin this.
Dude.
I was like, damn you. And I hadn't even played the DLC, but I knew something bad had to go down here. And I was like, this has to be where Ellie gets bit. God damn you, you sons of bitches. Every time they give you some happiness, they got to tug it away from you like someone trying to tug the tablecloth off and leave all the glass there, except Last of Us just says, break the glass, motherfuckers.
Break the fucking glass.
We're fucking everything up right here, man. But I absolutely love this episode, and a lot of people out there in the online community, I see y'all out there, have been drawing comparisons from this episode to episode 3 with Bill. It's been a long time or whatever it's called. So I do see the necessary comparisons there. I think mostly it's because there's a gay couple in both the episodes is why people are really drawing those comparisons. But for me personally, I think there's a lot of vast differences in between what goes down in this episode as opposed to that episode where Frank doesn't get infected. He actually has a real sickness and illness that can plague anyone, even Last of Us pandemic, if you will. And don't you be freaking demonetizing YouTube. That's the damn thing in the show. Don't you do that. But yeah, man, and that's the whole way it goes down there. And another thing, you actually get to see Bill and Frank build a life together where you don't really get to see that with Ellie and Riley at all. They barely start to discover each other's love truly for each other and start to even explore it before it's all taken away from them. So they don't even get a chance to share a life together, to have those differences and those fights, and to actually have a true blue relationship in that way. They just had a friendship that led up to that moment. But that was a whole complete difference right there, too. The difference in age and whatnot as well. Frank and Bill were very close in age. Riley was actually older than Ellie is. Ellie hasn't really experienced what real normal life is and what we've come to know and we've take for granted every day and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. She actually knows that. She knows the pain of loss in a different way than Ellie will ever really know it, too, because everything wasn't really necessarily taken away from her in the same way because she never had all that family built up to begin with. Where Bill went through all that. He was an older man. Frank had been through all that stuff. The people he traveled with all got killed off by the time he got to where he was going. Ellie had never left Chicago until she went on this whole adventure through episodes 1 through 6 with Joel and Tess and everything like that. So I think there's a lot of stark differences in those episodes, and I love them both, man, and I think they're really, really good. And overall, with the recap portion of the show that we usually do, it's going to be pretty short and sweet here because there isn't like a whole lot of big plot points to really go over necessarily. Just the fact that Ellie gets Joel over to this house somewhere, and she ends up hiding the horse inside so that way hunters and other lowlifes, if you will, don't find him up in there, and she's trying to figure out and get some supplies, very much like the game, and try to get that health kit, you know what I mean? Try to heal Joel, try to get him back to full health, you know what I mean? And she, she's panicking over there, like, oh my god, I can't lose someone again. I gotta get him taken care of, because in the last episode, for those of you that are catching up with us, maybe through these recaps before you get into the show, Joel ended up getting stabbed by that damn hunter that was trying to get at them at the University of Colorado. And he ended up getting stabbed in the stomach, in the tummy area. In the old tummy there, over there in the side. And he's almost down for the count at this point, barely clinging on to life after episode 6. And Ellie's trying to figure it out, and then she ends up flashing back to the first time she ever lost someone that she really cared about, which was the character of Riley. And the whole interaction there with her at the Fedra camp, doing the drills, going through the daily grind, and then she ends up getting into a fight with this kid, Bella or whatever, and she ends up getting sent to the office to talk to the main guy in charge, and he's like, "Come on, Ellie, you really have the talent and the potential to be a leader, but you got to choose a path. Do you want to be over here, doing grunt work? Do you want to over here be doing bullshit for work, or do you want to be a leader, someone that actually gets to stay warm during the cold and stay cool during the heat? Do you actually want to get the perks that I get to have as a commanding officer for Fedra? Get your shit together, man." And then she ends up going to a room or whatever, trying to get away from it all. And then she's over there looking in the corner and sees that Riley's still missing, her friend that the other girl alluded to earlier when she says that no one's there to back her up. But unbeknownst to her, in the middle of the night, that night in particular, Riley comes back. She's been missing for weeks, but apparently weeks, months, something like that. And apparently she is now a member of the Fireflies.
She's been missing for 3 weeks.
3 weeks, thank you. She's been missing for nearly a month, and now she has came back out of the blue, just like Billy Loomis in Scream 1, climbing through the window, and she's in the Firefly group now, going completely against Fedra. We'll find out later in just a sec here, but they end up sneaking off because she says, "Hey, I got to go show you a good time. You have one of the best nights of your life," which does end up being true, and I'm going to show you the 5 wonders of this location. And they end up going to this location, which is, of course, the mall. We hear some Take On Me, like every other 80s reference thing always does. Great song, though. It's a banger. Aha. And then they end up going down to the mall, and the first wonder is, of course, the escalator, which completely blows Ellie's mind. She's never seen it before. She's like, holy shit, man, stairs that move. And I'm like, geez, man, that's so sad that has to necessarily, that blows her mind. I tell you, bro, it's a crazy-ass world they live in. And it's just insane to see how that goes down. And then they're going up and down the escalator. Ellie's having a blast over there doing her thing. And then they end up going to explore the rest of the mall. Riley turns on the power, all the lights come on and everything like that, and they're going through the mall, exploring everything, and as they're doing so, they end up stumbling across this Victoria's Secret spot, and she's like, oh my gosh, imagine you wearing that, Ellie, like looking at thongs and shit, and Ellie's like, ugh, what the hell? She looks like you're going to have a wedgie over here. And then they end up going to see the second wonder, which is the carousel ripped straight out of the game from some of the gameplay footage I did see on YouTube in the morning as I was prepping the show here. So that was ripped straight out of the game right there. She ends up showing her the carousel. They go on the ride, and even the music on the carousel is actually an orchestral cover of that same song, Take On Me. For those of you that might not have noticed, music nerd ears I got over here.
Oh damn, I did
not notice. Yeah.
Yeah,
baby.
That caught me.
Epsilon
Okay.
Audio, ear training. But
okay.
but they end up playing the music and they're having a great time on there, and you can already feel the romantic sparks between the two here. And I was already like, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down here, guys. And that was one of the controversial elements introduced in this game and in the second game that some of y'all online have not been so positive about or so open-minded about. But I already saw that coming down the pipe anyways.
Yeah,
and,
which is weird because that's something that was always in the first part, like the last was first part.
Hinted at and in this first game. Been in there for over a decade now.
Yeah, and it's like it's always been there. I don't know why people are all of a sudden jumping on that because the Ellie was already. She was already considered like a lesbian by the time of the end of the first game, and then that's how we get introduced to her love interest within the second game.
As she gets older,
As she gets older, so that's why it's kind of interesting. I think it's just maybe
how it goes, dude.
Yeah, I feel like that's just it's
weird. The difference of time. In 2013, things weren't so hyper tribalistic and politicized as they are now. If you really think about it,
that is kind of true. Yeah, that's and it's such a bizarre thing, but it's easy with the general audience. I feel like it's because if you play the game, you kind of already knew where
exactly
how the episode's going to play out, and then
it's a part of her character. It's a part of who she is.
Yeah.
As identity and all that stuff, gender, whatever, all that stuff is. It's all a part of your identity and who you are and what makes you a person. So I think the way The Last of Us has always been written, it's definitely been an organic part of Ellie as a character. It's never been some political agenda type stuff or whatever, the big buzzwords, the woke, all that shit,
that, which is just crazy ridiculous. But I don't know. That's just weird. I actually just looked it up right now, and people are actually talking about that. I was like, I don't know why.
Again,
it's like, dude, it's kind of been like that. It was like that even for Bill and Frank. That was always something. There.
Set up in the game.
Yeah, but that was something different. Like as you see,
that was more like hinted at. They didn't show anything between him and Frank, where that whole third episode, I made a joke to it, and I'm not saying this to disparage anyone in the LGBTQ community, but I'm just saying it's the Brokeback Mountain episode of Last of Us. You know what I'm saying? It's a gay romantic love story in that sense of two alpha males generally that come together in that way that kind of goes against type and things of that nature. Like it really did draw that comparison for me, and that I think was jarring for some people. Which is kind of understandably so, depending on what you've been experienced to, how many people you might have been around in that community. I've always known people within that community since I was a teenager and things of that, so it's not weird to me. California is very progressive in that kind of way, very left-leaning or whatever. So not too surprising for me where maybe a sheltered kid in Maine or Alabama or something might be like, whoa, bruh. Missouri, like, God damn, someone in Utah is like, oh, shit.
Yeah,
this dude's making out in this. Damn, I thought it was about zombies.
Yeah,
what happened? So I can understand it, but I just don't get the hateful, negative aspect of it. But I understand some people maybe being like, "Whoa, bro, that wasn't in the game."
Yeah,
homie was just, homie wasn't even alive when we got there.
Yeah, it was just like if you picked up a lot of the notes, like you picked up the pieces of where you were
his
going
partner.
to.
He literally says my partner. He ain't fucking, running a business or something.
My business partner here. I got it.
Who is Joel's partner? Tess. She's a romantic love interest. Duh. Like, come on now. It was right there in front of you.
I think that's just bizarre. That's yeah, but like also too, I think piggybacking a little bit more. I think it was also kind of cool to see like their little talks about like how Riley joined the Fireflies. You know, in that building when they were kind of like climbing up those stairs, and then like they were kind of having that one-on-one talk on that rooftop, saying like, "Why did you join the Fireflies?" Like you kind of know like they're doing this to Fedra, they're kind of doing this bombing, kind of killing also innocents too. You kind of see that little like debate, that little confliction between those two relationships between Ellie and Riley. And I liked seeing that, like seeing that debate kind of going on screen of like two different perspectives. Even though Fedra can be at the wrong at times, the Fireflies can also be at the wrong at certain times as well. And you kind of see those two mindsets kind of clashing together. I kind of liked having those little moments before we got into the mall, because you kind of see like where their mindsets are at the current state before they end up having the best time of their lives and everything throughout the mall side.
For sure, man. You really get to see them both as people and as individuals, you know. And that's the one thing about this episode to me that really makes it all worthwhile. It makes it completely against what filler usually, what filler or what a side mission or what this type of episode can turn out to be. It was actually an episode that actually informed everything about character and all that stuff, and about the storyline and things that we had heard before, and really just shows aspects of the world building as well. So I'm totally with you on that one, man.
Is this episode really based off of DLC? So
Yeah.
What? From this episode, it didn't really look like it was action-packed or
Definitely not
worthy enough of a DLC. I wonder how that worked in the game then.
There is like
I think there's probably a little more action and exploration that you probably do in the game naturally just through gameplay, because there's much more zombie stuff that goes down in the game compared to the series in general, I think. Just since I'm kind of making my way through the game and got over there to the hunt chapter in there. So I've been through a lot of the game and kind of seen how that progresses. So I think that's kind of just at nature with this type of series, where they want to focus more on the drama, more on the character building, more on that than just the overall action or the overall zombie stuff. But yeah, that's definitely a fair, not a fair criticism I meant to say, but that's definitely a good like observation that I was kind of wondering about too, since I haven't played that DLC yet.
Because if I was a gamer and I paid extra money to just play a level of exploring the mall and playing a game inside the game, I'll be like thinking, well, this is the worst $6 I've ever spent, man.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but I think it's kind of like what Kenny said, because like there is a lot more that goes in like within the mall. There's like a lot more clickers, and there's a lot more also within the mall side, and then you kind of have to like pretty much maneuver around to try to get out of the immediate area, pretty much in the
more
sense.
horror survival-ish as the game, kind of goes into.
If I could remember, and then like you're kind of stuck with Ellie and Riley just trying to make that great escape, because that's pretty much what it is. So it's like they have to do like, that's the thing with this game too, with the show too, is like they had to like take like the essence of like what they're trying to sell,
the core storyline.
Yeah, of like each episode to try to like base around it, and then try to like go like as much as possible within the episode of what they're trying to talk about. Like the Bill and Frank episode for sure is one of them. Even with Sam and
a lot of those flashbacks with Sam and Henry.
Sam and Henry, yeah, and then also with them too. They kind of, there's like so much that they had to put in within the hour, because it's like an hour. Then instead of the game, you can kind of explore so much. It's so vast that you can like, okay, there's like notes here talking about certain events.
Ish, the whole character of Ish that plays into episodes 5 with Henry and Sam. It's this whole like, that little that almost like preschool looking area that they kind of had in the sewers. It looked like a community that lived there. There's a whole storyline that you will actually be able to read about as you look for different notes throughout the game, and as you progress through this chapter and through the different levels in it. If you continue collecting these notes, you pretty much get this whole side story of a survivor named Ish that was on a boat that was staying out at sea, but he had to come in eventually to get supplies. And once he did, he ended up running into a couple people, and then he ended up running into this woman, Susan. He let them stay with him at the sewers he was living in, and there was very few limited ways in and out, so it was a very safe place to be if they stayed to certain procedures. And he built a whole entire family and community in there that eventually, when someone effed up and left the whole thing open, what the hell am I saying effed up for? I'm at work. They fucked up for. And they opened up they left the gate or an entrance open in there, and a bunch of infected got in there and took out the whole entire community. And Ish barely escaped to a house that's nearby. When you get to the other side of the sewers, and you discover another note that says Susan lost her children, and they got left with a couple other kids, and we never find out what happened to them after that. So there's a lot of different exploration in the game like that you get to explore that you don't necessarily have time to do in the series without it feeling like what the hell are you doing all this meandering for, without like expanding the episode counter, without making the episodes like overly long, you know what I'm saying? Even longer than Stranger Things season 4, you know what I mean? Like 2.5-hour episodes or something crazy like that. So I figure they just didn't want to Zack Snyder cut this thing too much and make it overly long. But I do agree with you in a DLC. It does feel like it's almost like how much action could really be in there. But I think once the zombies pop up after you've been hanging around in the mall for a while, that's where that gameplay really kicks in. And I think that's why it's a bonus, because it would kind of derail some of the story progression too, from kind of going from the university over to the hunt portion of the episode, of the game. It would kind of be jarring to go on that little side adventure, where I think in the series they worked it in a more organic place that thematically tied in and didn't take too much time away from what you needed to know or what we wanted to know about what's going on. So I think it was like the perfect blend of taking a minute to explain some backstory without feeling too much like some of the animes when they don't do it well, where it's like, I just saw that 3 episodes ago. Quit telling me this again. Naruto Shippuden style,
Yeah.
And I got a lot of love for Naruto. Don't get me wrong, y'all, but just too many flashbacks up in there.
There's Goku, by the way.
Yeah, and they don't do too many flashbacks in that show. I'll tell you what, and that's one thing I've always loved about Dragon Ball, whether it's great or whether it's not. But anyways, getting back onto the depressing moment at hand. But as they make their way through the mall and see all the other exploration of it, like the fourth wonder of it, which was the arcade, they get to play some Mortal Kombat 2. Fatality, some shit, have some fun playing that. And that's when we're revealed with that goddamn infected that's been taking a nap that fucks up everything and takes everything away from my girl Ellie, because from there they end up moving into a big argument ideologically again about her leaving, and the whole reason of her really being there was because she was put on a mission to be there and kind of hold up for a while and kind of, survey what's going on with the Fedra camp over there in Chicago. She thought it was all about her and Riley getting to spend the time together as friends, and is more than that, obviously, in her mind. She's going to storm off and is about to bounce, but then she's like, here's some screaming and whatnot, and it's actually this little Halloween decoration that was set up, this little animatronic, because the fifth wonder that Riley wanted to show her was a Halloween store, which I thought was really cute and everything like that, and as a Halloween fan, I was obviously like, hell yeah, that's cool. And this was also ripped directly from the DLC in the game, design and all. Mask, everything, even when they put on the werewolf mask and the clown mask and start dancing on top of the counters and everything, having fun, playing the music, that's directly ripped from the game as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then the damn clicker shows up and everything goes, or not a clicker, but the damn infected shows up and everything goes to shit. They both get bit, but Ellie ends up going full Wolverine status with the screams and everything, feeling some X-23 vibes right there. And she straight up took that damn thing out with the pocket knife. But she didn't realize that she got bit on the arm, as we've seen the markings before. She's all trying to wipe the blood off. She's like, oh, no, oh, shit, no. And then she realizes that her girl Riley got bit as well, because she shows the bite mark on her hand, ripped almost exactly from the game, almost shot for shot. And then they end up sitting there together and hold each other tight and just make the decision to not kill each other, not to kill themselves, not to give up, just to keep faith and hope that they both can, just try to make the best of it and live out the rest of their days together. And that's pretty much where it cuts back into the present, where we pick up with her finally finding some supplies to help Joel and make that decision to look everywhere and do everything she can to try to save the person that means the most to her right now and the only person she has left in this world. And then we pretty much end the episode right there with her starting to stitch him up. And that is where we end off episode 7 of The Last of Us. Once again, such a freaking phenomenal episode. And episode 8 is going to be getting into that next portion of the game where Ellie's making a little of an adventure on her own while Joel is recovering and trying to get him back to full health so they can make their way over to the Firefly camp over there in
Wyoming.
Wyoming. Or actually, I was about to reveal the location of the place because I found out in the game, but they didn't say in the series. My bad, I will shut up now. But there's a location, I will say, West Coast. West Side, where they're going to have to go.
L.A.
No. I would have did California Love on that one. But I'm not going to say anything. No spoilers here, sir.
Seattle.
No spoilers here, sir.
No, I've never played the game.
I know, but I'm not trying to spoil anything for the peoples out there either that haven't played the game that might not want to know.
You got 13
We're going to
years
spoil
on
for
this
this
I'm with
episode,
you.
man. I don't want to. Well, I'm saying some people are playing along with the game or some people are just getting in there.
Watching it, yeah.
I don't want to spoil
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
now that it's coming. A lot of people are discovering the game and are probably going to start playing it now. Some of the less hardcore gamers, you know. I'm a gamer somewhat, and I didn't even know about the game when it came out. So there you go.
true.
And I'm hosting the goddamn thing, you know, along with you guys. And you
Yeah.
and you knew because you're the hardcore gamer of the group, and Miguel's kind of similar to me, and he hasn't even played the game, and I don't even think we were aware of it at the time. You know, I was over there trying to.
Actually,
I was over there.
was aware of it.
Were you?
I,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, I didn't know.
I knew you got Game of the Year.
Oh shit, I didn't even know.
Of the year.
See what I mean? See, I was completely out of the blue, like a lot of people. He knew about it but didn't play it, and then you were the hardcore gamer that played it, loved it, and owned it. So there you go. We hitting all three of the different aspects right there.
Yeah, it's true.
So
That's
there you
true.
go. But yeah, you know, so some people haven't known about it. I don't want to spoil anything that's coming. I just want to spoil what we talked about now and what's happened in the game up to this point. It's your fair warning. I just don't want to spoil anything to come, you know, out of respect for the peoples out there, you know what I mean? Just trying to, you know, keep it spoiler free until we get to that episode 8. And this show is just so much fun to talk to. We could just get into it for hours and hours. But that's where we're going to have to leave it off for today. We want to hear from all of you watching and listening. Drop your thoughts down below. I'm about to get to it today and drop all the previous 6 episodes on our podcast feed. And I'm going to drop them all at once. We're going to have that nice coming at you. Going to have all the Last of Us coverage here for you guys on the podcast feed. So jump over there and make sure you click the downloads and follow the podcast feed for all of our audio-only content. I just recently started a little solo project over there, but I'll be expanding with the other guys here and bringing on guests in the future for Phantom FM, our music audio-focused podcast where I'm getting into, you know, retro album reviews. I just did a little review
Can
for...
we do one for Rage Against the Machine? Oh my gosh.
Oh,
please.
yeah. All right. Since
Oh.
you're going to be parting ways, I will make sure to fast track that. We will cover whichever Rage album you want, man. Your
Yes.
choice. I'll get you on there. We're going to do the thing.
Oh, and then we're also gonna do the new Metallica album coming out in
Yes,
April.
42 freaking or 72 seasons. We're going to be covering that. That'll probably be like the last time you see this guy on the channel in the flesh for a while, but we're going to be covering that. But yeah, we're going to be doing some retro album reviews and new stuff. I'm going to be covering Gorillaz and Logic. They both just dropped an album this past Friday. I'm going to be
Really?
covering that.
Ooh.
Yep, we just covered Paramore's
That's
This
cool.
Is Why. Banger. Might be their best shit yet, man. Seriously. Really loving that Paramore album. So make sure you tune in on that Phantom FM, man. We're going to be getting into music. I'm going to be bringing on Miguel. I might bring on Skippy, man. I want to bring on musicians and talk to y'all. If you're interested, let me know in the comments below or hit me up on the social medias. DM your boy. But we got the Phantom FM podcast rolling and rocking. We're going to have some video ones. We'll probably do Metallica on video. I'm going to do some special ones. When Blink drops that album, Skips, we got to get it
Oh
going.
yeah, that's already coming out.
yeah.
Summertime.
Something like that. So I'm hoping we can get on that. So we're going to have some video coverage of the Phantom FM, but you got to get on the podcast feed if you want to get 99% of that content. You got to go take a listen on that. Throw it up on your drive to work. And, you know, Joe Rogan got enough subscribers. Help your boy out, man. Help us out over here, man. We're trying to get some more subscribers, man. We're trying to get on that Joe Rogan level. We're trying to build up. We're trying to build up that ladder, you know. We're trying to get to the money in the bank, y'all. We're trying to get up there, you know. We're trying to be the next Ocho. We're trying to get up there. So make sure you join us, and thank you for all the support you've given us so far. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for us today. Any parting words for the people before we part ways?
Nah.
Nah, nothing left to say. We ain't saying nothing. Get out of here. Nah. Beat it, you filthy animal.
Nah, just thank you for listening, guys. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it very
Hell
much.
yes.
Of course.
Amen.
And as I always say, just be mentally, physically strong and keep on doing you. I mean, that's all I gotta say.
Exactly. Let's keep growing this positive Kiki community. Peace, love, positivity, like my boy Logic says. We're going to catch you guys on episode 8. Pedro Pascal week is going to be dropping March, baby. Mandalorian,
yeah.
Last of Us. We're going to be covering that next Monday. Our boy Miguel over here is going to be out of town. He's going to be checking out the AEW wrestling pay-per-view live in person.
Oh man,
So jealous.
I'm going to San Francisco, baby.
Revolution San Fran. He's going to go over there, and then when he gets back, me and him are going to be doing some coverage of the pay-per-view and all that goodness to come. So make sure you tune in for that if you're into wrestling. But we're not going to have our boy on the next Last of Us and Mando, but he's going to be back for the finale and Mandalorian episode 2. I'm going to be doing immediate reactions the day Mandalorian drops. So I want to make sure all of you are aware. Come out and support it, man. We're going to have you immediate reactions. So right after you get up in the morning and watch it, I'm going to have that up for y'all. And then we're going to get a full spoiler discussion the following Mondays, wrapping up Last of Us as well. Thank you for watching. Tune in and make sure you stay tuned. Don't sleep. Much love. Peace out.
Later.
We'll catch you on the flip side.